Kroger Delivery has one mission: to deliver the freshest food right to your door. That's why our drivers are pros. Our trucks are refrigerated. And when it comes to low prices, we always deliver. With $20 off your first order of $75 or more, there's no better time to get in on the action. Mission accomplished. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Want to shop Walmart Black Friday deals first? Walmart Plus members get early access to our hottest deals. Join now and get 50% off a one-year annual membership. Shop Black Friday deals first with Walmart Plus. See terms at walmartplus.com.
Welcome to the NatureBacked podcast. We're recording from Slush in Helsinki today. I'm here with tozero co-founder Sarah Fleischer. Welcome to the show, Sarah. Tell us a little bit about what tozero does.
This is super exciting. Thank you for having me. So I'm Sarah. I'm the co-founder and CEO of tozero. We do lithium-ion battery recycling, and what we're really good at is recovering the critical raw materials, specifically lithium and graphite.
Okay, where's the background come to doing this?
Well, I met my co-founder Ksenia Milicevic-Neumann, doctor, which is very important, over 5 years ago when both of us were working in the space industry. I was working in the space, Luxembourg Space Agency. She was working in the space venture. And in the very first evening, we decided that we wanted to found a company together. And it happened to be that a few years later that she invented the breakthrough technology during her postdoc at the RW. Oh, it's really diverse. So I'm a pure mechanical engineer from the Technical University of Munich. I've done 2 ventures previously, exactly 10 years ago, right after my undergrad, finishing off my bachelor's, went into the entrepreneurship. Sadly, both of them failed. So I have a little bit of background of doing a lot of learnings for 3.5 years back in the days, over 10 years ago. Then I went back to school, made my mom happy, you know. She never understood what I was doing during my startup times. Continuing my aerospace focused mechanical engineering. So I was always more fascinated about the space part, and happened to be after my master's to work for the Luxembourg Space Agency directly in the Ministry of the Economy in Luxembourg, and helping out to build up financial infrastructure, setting up a finance VC fund and also a startup incubator together with the European Space Agency. Was more on how can we stimulate hyper growth for space ventures in Europe, and Luxembourg made that happen. So I was one of the first employees there who built up that financial infrastructure quite successfully. And Ksenia, she is brilliant. She is so smart. She was the first.
Says you, by the way.
Differently. You know, she's on the engineering side. I may be the one who knows how to hustle, and the human side of things, the business side of things, and getting investors in and customers in. But she's super brilliant. So she was working in a space venture where she basically built a technology how to build solar panels on the moon out of moon regolith. She even knows how to produce oxygen and metals on the moon and Mars and outer space, which is relevant if you want to go, you know, living on other planets in the future as humankind. You need to call her to make that happen. And then she's the one who invented the breakthrough technology, which is the DNA and the source of our technology at tozero.
Okay, before we go on to tozero, because there's so much to unpack here.
But maybe just to go back, what I didn't end is both of us figured out that living in space is not cool.
Okay, so you're like, no, we really have to we have to make this planet okay. We can't just think, okay, there's a second option.
Exactly, unless you love...
What was it about living in space that wasn't going to be cool?
Yeah, I was just about to say it. Like, if you enjoy isolation and desert, you can live on Mars.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you like nature, the bliss of, you know, greenery around you, water splashing around, diving, skiing, you better stay here and make this planet work.
Okay, we need it. Okay, maybe we could just arrange holidays to Mars, do you know, where people just are like, I need to have, one of those mental health breaks for a week, not have my phone with me, no one talk to me, go to Mars, and then someone collects you in a week and
Yeah,
brings
you could do
back.
like 3 years of silent meditation.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's talk about the fact that you are, and I'm sorry to say it, failed founder, obviously. What kind of experience from that have you brought to this company before you started this company? What kind of things were you thinking of? I learned my lesson on this. When I'm starting this company, this is definitely what I'm going to either do or definitely not do.
I would claim to say serial entrepreneur and experienced entrepreneur. Failed entrepreneur always sounds so
I'm
harsh.
noting that, okay.
Thank you. No, so much learnings. I mean, back then I was 22 years old with my first startup. Completely bootstrapped e-commerce, trying to make a lot of money selling baby goods to mothers. The second startup was luxury fashion and how to enable luxury fashion pre-orderings for travelers to Europe, because we're one of the biggest sources of luxury fashion brands. Both of them were always very much money driven. You knew you could make a lot of money in a very fast manner. And we did. Like for the first one, we did. The first one failed because of founder split. We had completely different visions of what we actually want to do with this company. One wanted to chill on Bali and make it into a passive income. The other one wanted to keep it small and simple and just make it into a proper business and do a lot of cash, which it did. But I always dreamed of more. Like I wanted to build a unicorn as you do in such a young age. And be driven building a startup, the coolest Google kind of workplace, and build that as a founder. So that always drove me. And the second one, I'm not a Gucci girl, I'm not a Prada girl, but I just did it because you knew you could make a business out of it. And I think my biggest learning, if you look at the statistics, over 80-90% or even more, the companies fail. Startups have a huge failure rate. Like, why would anyone do that? So I told myself, money cannot be your motivator because money comes and goes so fast. The third company I will found, I always knew I'm going to found again. I must be crazy or confident. I get bored fast, but the company I would build again the third time has to be something that is really purpose driven. It has to be something that I, as a founder, would wake up every single morning and I know that I'm doing something intrinsically good for the planet as a whole purpose. Because the biggest mistake for founders is like, if it's money driven, if that money's gone, there's nothing to drive you. And you need to be so laser focused as a founder to build your company and not have that distraction and have that back out plan in the background of your head. You have to put all your brain power into building that company, and also emotional wise all the ups and downs as well. So learning is the topic of the venture has to be purposeful. And the second one is your co-founder has to have the same vision as you and be complementary. So Xenia and I are completely two different personas, but brilliant together. So we're like an amazing rockstar team, as we always say. And we have the same vision to make this gigantic.
Great. Well, from fashion, what a huge leap to lithium.
From Prada to lithium-ion battery recycling, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that is quite the leap, but obviously it is something that is very much, like you said, with the planet, you realize that this is the planet we need to live on. So you are making a huge impact with this now company that you're running. Please tell me about your product. Like, the product is being used by other companies. Explain to us the whole process of how the product then can be reused. Like, what is happening when you're recycling a lithium battery? Or is it just components of it, or how does it work?
Very interesting question. So tozero is focused on a very specific part of the value chain of battery recycling. There's already so much out there that has already worked and matured. So at the moment, it's common status quo that you can recover nickel and cobalt from any lithium-ion battery, either in pyrometallurgy, like smelting batteries, or hydrometallurgy, doing wet chemical processes. It's very well established already. there's little breakthrough innovation out there that can disrupt that in a more efficient way. So tozero is focused on the two materials that the industry is either neglecting or not capable of recovering efficiently in a very positive revenue or unit economics manner: lithium and graphite recovery. And that's what we're focusing on. So we're working with all the existing players out there in the battery value chain, getting that shredded battery. You call it black mass. It's the anode cathode material where the lithium and graphite are entailed. And we get out the lithium and the graphite. And since April this year, we're the first and only recycler that is able to produce, first recover and produce, and deliver recycled lithium to a customer. We made human history, which is pretty cool. I always carry it around, so I always have like a sample.
No way. Okay.
Yeah, this is like super silky white, and that can be directly used by our customers for the end product production. The funny thing is that a lot of people do not know. I mean, the value chain of battery production in Europe is still kind of missing.
Yeah.
I would not be able to sell that lithium to a battery producer here in Europe because most of that value chain exists in Asia, mostly in China, but also South Korea and Japan. So we are selling that lithium to customers that have been using this for hundreds of years. Lithium is being used in the ceramics industry, in the cement industry, lubricant industry, and also glass manufacturing. So all your Gorilla Glass, for example, on your smartphone, lithium is entailed to enable that high performance glass. And they're completely underserved in Europe because we in Europe have none of this material. Currently, we're importing 97% of our lithium demand from China directly, according to the European Commission. So we are the first and only source, of course, with recycled lithium. There's more mining happening here in Europe. But all the customers are running into our office, signing contracts. They're hungry for that material.
Yeah. You kind of moved on to my next question there, Dan, because I was going to say that the supply gap in lithium is taking its toll on many of like EU companies. And the EU Battery Directive mandates that at least 80% of lithium must be recorded from batteries by 2031. Do you feel that your impact is going to be on that? Measure it for me. Go on.
Oh, wow. National security and enable Europe to hustle in the future? Maybe. So today, it's 0.
Okay.
We already with our pilot plant that is on industrial level, based out of Munich, we already reached or surpassed the 2027 battery directive, which is 50% recovery rate. So we already surpassed that. And now we're in a good way to already reach 80% on industrial level, which is super exciting. So we are over 6 years ahead of time, which is pretty cool. What does that mean? First of all, I really hope that more recyclers push forward because we can't do it all. It's not a winner takes it all market. Mm-hmm. We need way more tozeros out there. Of course, we strive to have the better technology with the highest efficiencies, but there's so much battery waste out there. We just want to show and shape the industry and show that it's actually possible. And I actually have a really cool story. I don't know if we have time for that.
How short can you make it?
Okay, I can make it short.
Points.
I would make it super short. Beginning of the year, I was invited to meet the Chancellor of Germany. Of course, the typical big corporates were there, represented by the CEOs. And before me, a big CEO from a big OEM from Germany was telling the Chancellor that there's no chance that we will have recycled lithium by 2040. And then I spoke
up.
Exactly. And then I got the chance to give my keynote and inspiration to the German Chancellor and said, you know what? If you give me 200 million euros, I'll supply him by next year.
Boom. I love it. That leads me into my next conversation then, because obviously a lot of people are supporting you. You raised 11 million in your seed funding round. Tell me, how was the experience? Because everybody is talking about it, especially here at Slush. You know, it's been really hard a couple of years getting funding. You know, people are not throwing the money around as much as they were. How was that experience for you? How was your funding journey up to get that deal signed? And what did you do to celebrate?
Ooh, that's a juicy question. You know, like when we raised the first time our pre-seed round, that was 3.5 million euros, around about 2.5 years ago when we started off tozero. That went super fast. Like we've closed within 2-3 weeks, finished. This time, around the year, of course, I mean, I don't have to go too much into details here, how the market has been quite dry. Investors have been quite hesitant. Politics have been unstable. Wars happened. Inflation rates going up and all that stuff. It's not easy, It's like we're a hardware company, we're an infrastructure play, and just finding that investor who understands that you need a lot of investments and patience for you to deliver is never easy. I think like any founder who would say fundraising is easy is overdoing it a little bit, especially for the hardware part. But I think we were lucky that we had a choice to choose our investor. I think that's always very lucky. So we took Nordic Ninja, who led our 11 million euro seed round, which is super exciting because these are real hustlers. They have been there, done that kind of partners.
Yeah.
All of them have done their startups before, hardware, deep tech startup. They know what we're going through, and their portfolio is just awesome. Then we got in Honda. I think that's quite interesting, maybe for the audience. I mean, Honda, one of the biggest OEMs, car producers, but they are now setting up their own gigafactories around the world, mostly now more focusing North America and also Japan.
What was it like getting a meeting with them? Were you having to be at them, or did they come to you, or how did that work? Can you tell me?
Yeah. I mean, we have been knowing each other. Let's put it this way. I mean, that's one of the jobs of a CEO, to build up those relationships early on. But I think they're just fundamentally impressed that we are fulfilling this one single step that the industry is missing and getting that lithium and graphite out. I think they saw that huge potential, believing us to make that happen. They are tough due diligence people. I mean, Japanese engineers know their shit, right? You can't bluff through that. I think for our due diligence papers are probably prepared for the next 2-3 years for the next rounds.
Oh, great.
Exactly. So like we went through hardcore tech DD, which is great. We've learned a lot in that process. And I think we're one of the fastest investments they've ever done. So I think that's pretty cool. That already shows how much attention and how important this topic is for them. I can't give more details here. But what's also interesting that who we got in, which is very like where Xenia and I also chose because we know that this will definitely give an impact for tozero, is getting in one of the largest engineering companies out there that have built 200,000 plants before. That's, for example, JGC. They're the largest engineering company out of Japan. They've built most oil racks around the world, in Southeast Asia, but also Saudi Arabia, Middle East, and so on. Having them on board, someone who knows how to build plants properly, functional, is quite helpful.
Did you, at the beginning, when you were founding the company, did you expect that so quickly, particularly in your seed round, that you were going to be having these conversations with these people, let alone doing these deals with these people?
You mean in the very early days, if I thought this would happen?
Yeah. Are those pinch me moments, or were you confident about what you were doing? And if you were, it's okay to say.
I think like when you're fundraising, of course you have your targets where you want to close the deal.
Yeah.
Not all of them will pull through, so that list better be a little bit bigger than just one, because then you'll be quite upset if this one investor says no. And just go with the flow and really explore those partnerships, understand the investors' game inside this investment as well, but also vice versa for the investor to understand who you are as a founder and what your vision is. And if you want to pull through that vision to shape that company. I think quite confident to answer your question.
Good.
Yeah, like just hustling through fundraising. I love it. I enjoy it. I love to get my vision across, what I stand for here at tozero. And I didn't answer your question to celebration.
Yes, I'm dying to know what happened.
You remember like how I met Xenia, where we signed the contract? I didn't spill the beans here. What I usually say is like when we met over 5 years ago, we had some cocktails and maybe some wines.
Okay.
And we signed a contract on a napkin that one day we're going to found a company together. So there might be some alcohol involved
Okay.
in celebration. But we always take, of course, our whole team along the way. So
Yeah.
I can't give you more details, but we
Okay.
definitely celebrate it with the whole
good.
team.
I'm glad to hear it. I do want to touch on this, but not make too much of it either. You're a female-led company. Not even aside from the funding part of things or trying to get funding. What is that like being in an impact environment, you know? And obviously, what you're doing as well, people mightn't expect. I'm so sorry to say this in 2024, but you know, like it might be a shock that it's a female-led company. I'm gonna wash myself now later because I said that. I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good. You know, I'm a mechanical engineer. I think we were around 10-11% female quota at the university studying mechanical engineering. I think for Ksenia was similar, doing chemical engineering and during her studies. So you're used to that.
Okay.
And the fun fact, what I learned back then as a student, it was all the women who made through all the exams. The boys didn't.
Good.
Because they thought they could.
Yeah.
And they just didn't study. So I think like women are really good in actually getting stuff done. Maybe they're hesitant in their representation of themselves, but women are smart. If you think about high school, who were the best in class in maths or sciences? Those are all
actually so not me, by the way.
Okay, all right, but still,
your argument is not holding up right now.
sorry. Maybe I was in a different school, but girls are so smart, and it's just like the social image of a woman. We need to definitely change that, and I think Ksenia and I are proud to be kind of in a way. Slowly more and more that role model to show the other ladies like, hey, you can nail this. I mean, we raised in total together with the European Innovation Council, the EIC grant, 17 million euros in total just within 2.5 years. That's a lot of money. Even some boys can't manage that. I think investors do their job. I don't see that they treated us differently or so. I think they're just doing their job, due diligence. They will question us and everything. I hope they do that with every founder. I can't compare. I can't switch to a male now and see how the difference is in those processes. But I think our investors, at least the shareholders with whom we're working with, are fair and solid. So I don't see any like gender-related issues here.
Good. To wrap it up, I want to know what your hopes and dreams are for the future. And that's not just with the company as well, but the whole impact and where we're going with this planet, you know?
Well, the planet is going to go without us if we like it or not. You know, the planet doesn't care. Exactly. We're just a small dot on this planet. If the planet decides to get rid of us, it's going to get rid of us. We just have to make sure the planet doesn't do that, right? Yeah. That we don't go extinct. That we can actually still live on this planet and we don't destroy it and still have the resources and all that stuff. I believe like in a purpose that we definitely have to fight climate crisis. That's number one. There's no other way. I don't care what politicians say. I don't care what the industry says. I'm just doing my part to at least really push that as a purpose. And I envision, you know, that we really regenerate critical raw materials in general, right?
Yeah.
We humans, we love to dig stuff out and then throw it away.
Yeah. That's
what we're currently doing. We're not recycling. We're not recovering the stuff. There's no circularity. And the beautiful thing about chemistry, for example, now lithium stays lithium. You just have to be able to recover it. And then you can reuse it infinitely. Because that Li, that lithium in your periodic table stays lithium. It's the same with water, hydrogen, and all that stuff. So I believe that we can learn from nature, we can recover and properly recycle all the materials that we use. It's if we all think that way, I don't see any problems for the future for humans living on the planet. So this earth will still be rotating with humans on it. If we don't act fast enough, it will get quite difficult, and then we will be happy that Starship is there from SpaceX and we can fly to other planets fast. So let's see.
Okay, let's hope that we don't have to resort to that. Okay, I think that this is an ideal time to end this. And thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really enlightening and engaging as well. So yeah, from Slush, we're going to wrap up this podcast. Thank you for listening to NatureBacked.
This was very fun. See you next time.
If you like the show, subscribe and leave a good rating on the podcast platform of your choice. it would mean a world to us.
Have you ever wondered what actually happens in Congress every day? Stay informed on Capitol Hill's daily happenings with a concise, factual summary of the Senate and House of Representatives' activities from the previous session, free from bias, on the Congressional Record Daily Digest podcast. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and discover the process from the heart of U.S. politics. The Congressional Record Daily Digest, an Electricast production.
Electricast.
Ever thought about starting your own podcast?
Do you have a business or a message you want to share with the world?
Well, now it's easier than ever with Electricast. Hi, I'm Mark Netter.
And I'm Peter Rafelson. We're the founders of Electricast Media.
Whether you want to start a new podcast or already have one, join Electricast to grow your audience, monetize your content, and build your community.
With our simple sign-up, you get free promotion, world-class analytics, premium ads, and personal support.
Go to electricast.com and join our community today.
Electricast. Transform your influence.
Electricast.